Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack Benny, Red Skelton, Benny comedian.
Hello, cinema enthusiasts. Johnny Carson. For 30 years, Johnny Carson was the most trusted face on American television. But behind those warm laughs and effortless charm, Carson carried a secret blacklist in his mind. Sitting in that chair night after night, he watched people long enough to see who they really were once the cameras stopped rolling. And eventually, he revealed the 5 actors he truly despised. In this video, we examine the 5 names Johnny Carson vowed to never deal with again. People who shattered his belief in professionalism and basic human decency. And especially the final name on the list, a comedy giant famous for his kind-hearted image, whose behavior toward The Tonight Show staff pushed Johnny's patience past its breaking point. If you're ready, we're heading into the darkest backstage corners of The Tonight Show. Number 1. Joan Crawford, cruelty frozen in marble. At the top of the list stands a legendary name Johnny Carson once described as the coldest corpse I ever interviewed, Joan Crawford. To the audience, she was the very definition of elegance. To Johnny, Crawford was a calculating machine utterly devoid of humanity. Her arrival at The Tonight Show didn't feel like hosting a guest. It felt like an occupation. Before Crawford ever stepped into the studio, she sent a 4-page list of demands. The temperature had to be exactly 67 degrees, number 66, number 68. Table height, lighting angles, camera placement, everything had to be adjusted down to the millimeter. During preparations, a young production assistant, barely 20 years old, entered Crawford's dressing room to deliver the water she had requested. That was when everything exploded. Crawford screamed at the girl loud enough for the entire hallway to hear, calling her a brainless little whore and shouting that brothels would be a more suitable workplace for someone like you. The assistant fled in tears. Seconds later, Crawford walked out smiling sweetly and greeted Johnny as if nothing had happened. Watching the monitors, Johnny was horrified. During commercial breaks, Crawford's angelic smile vanished instantly, replaced by a stone-cold emptiness. Johnny later said it was the most terrifying performance he had ever witnessed. Result: Johnny Carson flatly refused Crawford's demand to have the assistant fired. Years later, when revelations about Crawford's abuse of her own children surfaced, Johnny wasn't surprised. "I saw the monster inside her in just a few hours," he said. Joan Crawford entered Johnny's "Never Again" list at the very top. Number 2. Frank Sinatra, the elegant bully. Second on the list is a giant Johnny Carson once described bluntly. If he couldn't sing, he'd be a mob hitman. Frank Sinatra. Johnny respected Sinatra's talent, but despised the way he wielded power over people weaker than himself. Whenever Sinatra entered the studio, The Tonight Show felt less like entertainment and more like a crime scene under tension. Sinatra arrived with 8 bodyguards, men who looked less like show business professionals and more like enforcers from dark alleyways. During rehearsal, a location manager in his 50s, a Korean War veteran, politely informed Sinatra that he had 3 minutes before going on air. That was a mistake. Sinatra grabbed the man by the tie, yanked him close, and snarled, "No one tells me when I go on. I go on when I'm ready." Johnny was so furious, he briefly considered canceling the taping altogether. As if that weren't enough, during a commercial break, Sinatra made a loud, degrading comment about a female staff member's appearance. Johnny dropped his professionalism and responded coldly, "You don't speak to my staff like that, Frank." The studio froze. No one spoke to Sinatra that way. Result: after that night, Johnny instructed his producers, "I don't care about ratings. Bring him on once a year at most. Preferably never." In Johnny's eyes, Sinatra wasn't a star, just a thug who used fame to crush the powerless. Number 3. Mickey Rooney, the predatory child star. Third on the list was Mickey Rooney, whom Johnny Carson once condemned with brutal clarity. Being short doesn't give you the right to be a pervert. Rooney was a symbol of Hollywood's golden age, but to the Tonight Show staff, he was a recurring nightmare. Every time Rooney arrived, he carried a bottle of alcohol. Young female production assistants begged not to be scheduled on days he appeared. Rooney grabbed wrists, pulled women toward him, and whispered obscene propositions, even to assistants simply bringing him water. The breaking point came during a 1977 taping. Rooney showed up completely drunk and began touching a female guest on live television in ways that crossed unmistakably into sexual assault. The moment Johnny noticed her discomfort, he intervened and forcefully redirected the segment. During the commercial break, Johnny turned to Rooney and snapped, "This is my show, and there is no place here for anyone who can't act like a professional." When the taping ended, Johnny personally apologized to the woman. Result: Johnny Carson never forgave Rooney's behavior. Invitations to The Tonight Show stopped immediately. Johnny saw past Rooney's legacy and recognized the stain in his character, and sentenced him to permanent exile from his stage. Number 4. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Less personality than a cat. Fourth on the list was Zsa Zsa Gabor, whom Johnny once quipped, "I'd rather interview a cat." To viewers, Gabor was amusing. To Johnny, she was an empty ego who turned every appearance into chaos. Her demands were absurd. The dressing room had to be exactly 74 degrees, stocked only with orchids, and her water served with precisely 3 ice cubes. When she discovered her preferred brand of foundation was missing, she erupted. The situation peaked when Gabor threatened to refuse sitting in the chair unless the makeup was flown in from Beverly Hills immediately. While the staff panicked, Johnny personally called her and smoothed things over. "Zsa Zsa, darling, you're already beautiful. Let's skip the cosmetic crisis and do the show." The moment he hung up, Johnny turned to his assistant and said, "That woman will never walk through this door again." Result: no matter how popular she became, Johnny placed Gabor high on his blacklist. To him, she was a diva who disrespected time, labor, and everyone around her. Number 5. Jerry Lewis, the monster behind the charity mask. Finally, we arrive at the name Johnny Carson called the most hateful man in Hollywood, Jerry Lewis. For Carson, Lewis wasn't just difficult, he was a pure example of cruelty. Lewis's cheerful public image collapsed instantly inside Johnny's studio. Lewis treated staff like invisible servants and deliberately violated Johnny's most important rule: never touch the host without permission. During a live broadcast, Lewis grabbed Johnny's tie, asserting dominance. The breaking point came during rehearsal. A cameraman coughed lightly during Lewis's monologue. Lewis stopped everything and screamed at him in front of the entire studio. "Are you a professional cameraman or a piece of trash that breathes like an amateur? Get out." Johnny's blood ran cold. That cameraman was a longtime crew member, a father who had worked beside Johnny for years. Johnny turned to Lewis and said icily, "That man isn't here because of you. He's here because of me. Now do your job, or you leave." Result: Johnny Carson never forgave the hypocrisy. A man who cried for children on charity telethons while treating real people like insects disgusted him. In his later years, Johnny summed it up simply: "In a town full of phonies, Jerry Lewis truly deserves the title of the most hateful." For 30 years, Johnny Carson taught America one lesson above all others. A star's true greatness is revealed when the cameras are off, by how they treat assistants, staff, and ordinary people. Johnny saw the rot beneath these 5 glittering masks, and he never forgave it. What do you think? Was Johnny Carson right to ban these names? Or should professionalism always come first? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to explore the hidden world behind Hollywood legends. See you in the next video.